Thank you, Chair. Back in June, Conservatives sought emergency hearings on the unemployment crisis facing our country. Unfortunately, we did not have support from the Liberals to proceed with summer hearings on an emergency basis. So we've had to now wait more than 3 months to get this work underway. But I'm very glad that we are finally beginning this critical study on the really catastrophic unemployment crisis facing young Canadians. The unemployment rate for young people is at 14.5%. We have the worst employment rate in this country in well over 25 years. And despite not having that summer study that Conservatives were seeking, we've continued to highlight...
Mr. Jennings, are you live streaming?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I'm going to suspend while I get a clarification on direction on this.
What?
I'm suspending until I get clarification.
What in the world is the issue with live streaming on social media? Thank you, Chair, and thank you for noting that we're live streaming these hearings on my social media platforms, which is, of course, very common and allowed, and people can follow me on the various social media platforms if they're interested in following the live stream of this and subsequent meetings. Chair, as I was saying, Conservatives sought emergency hearings on the unemployment crisis. Those hearings were blocked from taking place over the summer. We are finally getting down to work on that, and I'm very pleased that we're finally beginning this work on the catastrophic unemployment crisis facing this country. The youth unemployment rate is 14.5%. We have the worst employment rate for young people in this country in over 25 years. And despite not having the form of this committee to raise these issues, we've continued to meet with people and speak about them over the intervening months. And what we've highlighted is a number of different causes of the unemployment crisis facing our country: a broken immigration system as a result of policy failures, misalignment in education and training, but also serious problems in terms of economic policy. And we've heard today from witnesses, business owners in particular, highlighting economic policy failures that have played a significant role in this ongoing unemployment crisis. Mr. Rizzo, you spoke about structural unemployment due to declining productivity over the last 10 years. Structural unemployment due to declining productivity over the last 10 years. And now I think it's important to underline how important productivity is as a measure of the health of the economy. It's not a measure of how hard people are working, but it is a measure of how much a worker is producing in a given period of time. And increases in productivity require business investment, require systems and technology that allow workers to produce more in a given period of time. So I wonder if you could elaborate on your comment that we face structural unemployment due to declining productivity over the last 10 years, and what you see as the factors contributing to this decline in productivity.
Sure. Well, fundamentally, when companies are plagued with too many operating costs and high taxation, there's less money to invest. And when you're competing globally, you have additional pressures to remain hyper-competitive. So if we take Ontario as an example, our ability to invest in manufacturing, which is very capital intensive and long-term for paybacks, it's very difficult for us to invest the millions and millions of dollars necessary to invest in the new technology to increase our productivity when we are largely deemed to be uncompetitive from everywhere else in the world, right? So we have less resources, less funding, and less money left over.
Thank you. Can I just sharpen the question a little bit, sir? What specifically are you seeing from the federal government that is making investments in manufacturing here in Canada, here in Ontario, less competitive? What are the decisions from the national government that are impacting that reality?
The decisions, I would say, are a lack of investment in manufacturing, a lack of investment or creating policies that increase productivity or competitiveness, and those are wide-ranging. They're almost in every area. So you have a combination of all kinds of a lack of economic long-term strategic planning that is affecting companies to plan and to be competitive in the long term. Specifically, you have the taxation policies are known to be uncompetitive compared to the rest of the world, and this is creating a big problem for people and for companies to move forward.
Thank you, sir. I'll bring Mr. Johnson in on that. Would you agree that we face structural unemployment due to declining productivity over the last 10 years? And what do you think is, if you agree, what do you think is contributing to that decline in productivity?
Yeah, I would absolutely agree. I think exactly what Mr. Reese says. I think also, the taxation policy that exists in Canada does not support the investments and the time it takes to write it. Recently, Trump announced that you could depreciate an asset over, 12 months or 1 year instead of taking 5 years. So as you turn around and longer depreciation is indicated the type of capital intensity that is in manufacturing, you got to get a return on that. And I think at the same time, skills. I think that there's a major shortage of certain skills that are existing. The immigration policy that has existed now for the last number of years that I think is also.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm almost out of time, and I will want to come back to that. But it sounds like what you're saying is that we've got unemployment because of an unfriendly business environment, which is the result of high taxes. Is that a central part of the equation?
Yes, that's a critical one. Yes.
Janice, your time is up.
Thank you, Chair. I'm following with great interest the discussion that's happening today because we're hearing from witnesses about how the system for employment right now is broken. And there have been emerging problems over the last 10 years that have got us to this point. And what we're hearing in response to that is Liberal MPs essentially expressing hurt feelings or not liking what they're hearing, trying to disagree with claims from witnesses about the problems. And I just want to point out that, the unemployment numbers are both brutal and objective. The unemployment numbers don't respond to the feelings of anybody around the table. They tell the story. And what we're hearing from the witnesses, but more critically what we're seeing in the Statistics Canada numbers, is demonstration of the failures of the government. You can say we've tried to put in place all these programs, but my question is, are those programs working? And that's what we see in the numbers that show that it's not working, that the unemployment crisis continues to get worse, and that whatever the government says about its efforts, they're not reversing the trend that has resulted from decisions they've made. With that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Reynolds.
About 3.5 minutes.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank all the witnesses for coming here today. Really appreciate it. Appreciate your time. My first question is for Mr. Johnson. You had talked about a lack of skilled trades. So coincidentally, I'm actually a construction electrician. I've been a construction electrician for 20 years. I know what you're talking about. I've found in my career that there's not really a push to put people in the trades. There's not really a recognition of the importance of skilled trades. I think the attitude that I've seen in a lot of schools, especially certainly when I was in high school, that people who couldn't cut it in university, well, you can just go into the trades. And I still see that today. Do you think that there's a way that we could start to change that opinion? Because obviously we really need skilled tradespeople. Like, how do you think that we could be able to start to change that narrative and make it more enticing for young people?
Yeah. First of all, I think you need to be able to bring back some sense of trades inside high schools and places with regards to it. Doesn't seem to have a lot of that. And I think at the same time is to give people an understanding of what the kind of money you can make in the trade industry. Kids coming out of whether it be electrical or plumbing or millwrights or any of that is making a lot more money than the kid necessarily coming right directly out of engineering. So I think having an understanding of the skill set the pay you can make, the living you can make, the lifestyle you can live, and I would say that they also, I think, have a greater chance of developing and building their own business because of the shortage of the skilled trades. And I think it's also allowing them to understand that the security of a job is way greater to get that job, and the longevity of that job is a lot greater. I think that I don't think young people really understand trades as a whole and what they could consider, and I don't think many people actually really understand the choice of their education and what was going to be their chance of getting a job, or what they will earn when they get a job, or the percentage chance of getting employment too.
Thank you. My next question is for Mr. Buck. I'm wondering about the programs that you have that you offer. Do any of them direct people towards skilled trades?
Absolutely. So Mr. Reynolds, thank you for the question, working with the public, private, and civil society sectors in a very local context to understand what are the opportunities that exist. We're working directly with employers that are suggesting to us, this is what we need. How do we get it? And so in many cases, and it could be in any one of the industries that we've talked about today, it could be in construction, electricity, for example. If there is a need in that way, we're able to work with both the supply and with the talent out there to make sure that we're shaping the pipeline in a way that responds to the local needs.
Thank you.
Reynolds, you're the only one who lived within your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Rizzo, I want to probe your comments about the link between the cost of living crisis and the unemployment crisis. You were talking earlier about how effectively, as the cost of living has gone through the roof, what constitutes a living wage, that is what your employees need in order to live in a city with incredibly expensive housing, in order to cover basic expenses, becomes a lot higher. So in other jurisdictions, workers that are making less money in a sort of nominal level, but are better off because of a lower cost of living, that becomes a much more competitive jurisdiction to invest in relative to Canada. And I think it's an important point because we've been talking about both of these crises, the cost of living crisis and the unemployment crisis, and you're highlighting the relationship between the two. I wonder if you could share a bit more about how the cost of living crisis impacts business investment, the ability to create more jobs, et cetera.
Yeah, it's a great question. It's just every day. Our annual reviews come every December. We're very committed and loyal to our staff. Most of our employment is probably the tenure of like 25 years on average at our company. We have long-term committed employees, but it breaks, it's really hard for me. Like every year I want to give back to the employees. We want to try to compensate them. And, the conversations are just constantly the same. How expensive it is to live in Toronto, how expensive it is to live in Canada, to a point where good people that have been with me for 10, 15 years have started to identify that, can they move to one of our U.S. facilities, or could they transfer? And the reason they're doing that is they want to start a family, they want to have home ownership. It's just not feasible in Canada for most of the youth. So all these things are really big systemic problems. To put it in perspective, a facility in Georgia where we make components, the average person makes $16.50 to $17 US an hour, and a house price is $40,000 to $50,000, right? So to the employer, they can attract a lot of people. And, at this lower wages, those people can still live and acquire and do quite well. But in Canada, when most of your money is going to mortgage debt and living expenses and insurance and all the items I talked about before, the youth of today have no money left over to dream about that next step in their lives.
Thank you, Mr. Jennings.